All right, we got a game 3 to get ready for between the Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets. What can we expect in this one? Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets as well. LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com, and follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and why not subscribe to our subtext as well? Link to that is in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. You get your thoughts on everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. All right, sir. In playoff years, it's like the extra day is like dog years. It's like we've gone like a month without a game because we're so used to every other day having one. But they got an extra day. It felt good going into that extra day on a win. It feels good going into game 3 at home. So it also feels good. You got that performance from Alexander Georgiev. So we'll talk about him a little bit later. But what are you kind of thinking is game 3 is going to bring? Because I always say, that these series, any playoff series is just a chess match. And what you've seen the Avalanche do the first 2 games, do you feel like that is going to continue, or do you feel like Winnipeg is going to force the hand of the Avalanche to kind of change playing because Winnipeg has got to change how they're playing?
See, and that's the thing, and it feels like 84 years since Game 2. I've been expecting to pull up my social media and see in my memories Game 2, and I remember that. But the thing is, you're talking about what you can expect, kind of what the Avalanche are going to come out. I feel like Game 2 was more business as usual style for the Avalanche. Game 1 did not feel like an Avalanche effort. Like, even though that track meet, it felt like a desperation.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2 felt like business as usual, and you think with this extra day, you get to heal up, you get to see some faces return to the ice.
Yeah,
some faces go back down to Loveland. It's the team's kind of resuming practice and getting back to things, and I feel like they're starting to hit their stride finally. They didn't at the end of the regular season, and Game 1 was kind of weird. Game 2 felt normal, and you expect them to build off that, but also don't forget, Winnipeg also has this extra day.
Yeah, I know it doesn't work just one way in this aspect as far as days off. From the Avalanche side, I think it's great to be home, right? And you want to feed off of that for as long as you can. For me, I think like home ice, home field advantage, home court, whatever, for hockey, to me is a little bit different. I don't feel like it lasts as long. I don't feel like, but in the beginning, it's very important. When I say it doesn't last as long, is like, there's spots throughout the game where it can drag a little bit. And if the crowd gets taken out of it, I think in any other sport, the crowd is a major factor. I think in hockey, the crowd is the biggest factor in the beginning of a game. And that is where the Avalanche want to keep that momentum going as long as possible. If you give up that first goal, it just sucks the life. And if you give it up early, that'll just suck the life out of the building. Yeah, I mean, clearly the game's not over, but you're playing to that. You're playing to that crowd. You're playing on the endorphin high. You're playing on the emotions. So ride that wave as long as possible, because that crowd's going to be going bonkers. Obviously, this is the first playoff game in the postseason for the Avalanche. So ride that. And then on top of that, yes, you want to try to keep playing the way that you've been playing, because it's been working. And I know that even though the series is tied, we've said it many times before, you just get a little bit better goaltending in that first game and you still put up 6. that's good. So Winnipeg needs to be the one to come out and say, this is what we're doing differently, because they can't be feeling very good of giving up as many goals as they have, known as a defensive team.
And see, that's the thing. Going into Ball Arena, you're expecting a raucous crowd. You're expecting everybody to be in salmon shirts, and everybody's going to be hyped because Monster Jam's in town. So, I mean, how could you not be hyped up? But you expect, like with your gift having that incredible game, the comeback game, honestly, a career-saving game in Game 2.
Mm.
Expect that to build in Game 3 because every save is going to be cheered, and you're going to get that extra oomph with every. You could build off that. It's something that your gift really needs to really continue that progression that he's got. It's the same with the forwards. Every shot, there's extra oomph from the crowd. You have everybody behind you on every shot, every pass, to where you are fighting against not only Winnipeg but the emotions of the crowd. Colorado's an emotional team, and they will feed off that energy. And as long as they could keep that going all game long, it's like having an extra player for the Avalanche. And I expect that to be in their favor. It has been all regular season. It's one of the Avalanche's best places to play was Ball Arena. Like they have an impeccable record over there. So
True.
you want to keep that going. And especially with how emotional and the up and down start to this series, you expect that to build in Game 3.
I also expect the big names to take over this game. You know what I mean? Like, because they haven't really, like, they haven't played poorly, but those Nathan McKinnon games where he just looks like a man that's possessed. And again, I feel like if he can set that tone early, and he's just going to make life miserable for Winnipeg. Same thing for Mikko Rantanen. He's got to get on a really good role here of kind of feeding off of McKinnon. Those two guys play off each other so much. And then Cale Makar, who's been fantastic in the series, he just needs to continue doing that. But I'm really looking forward to, do it again, Kyle. Like, who are we talking about at the end of this game that really took over, or really is like, wow, that's the guy who really carried this team. And I know it's always easy to say guys like Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen and Cale Makar, but because they haven't yet, I'm expecting Nathan McKinnon to just be gonzo in this game. I really think that's going to happen because they're at home. He wants to, have this team have the series lead. You haven't seen it from him yet to take over the game and take over possessions. And I think he's had 2 games to be like, okay, you've got maybe a little bit of the better of me. Now I think I figured you out. And I just feel like it's just the law of averages. Like they can't keep holding him down and he's been fine. Like he's got a goal, he's got some assist, stuff like that. But that just takeover mentality that we know Nathan McKinnon can have, I'm kind of thinking it could happen in this game.
When it comes to all the teams in the playoffs, Colorado is number 1 with goals for. I mean, that's to be expected. And after you saw the performances in Game 1 and Game 2, you'd expect Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen to be somewhere in there. Arturi Lehkonen leads this team right now with 2 goals. Cale Makar leads this team with 5 points. Cale Makar is somebody we need to be talking about in Game 3 because he is the battery that is keeping this team going right now. But you expect Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen to come alive in Game 3 because it's needed. And if you want to go deep in this playoffs, you need to have one of those signature Nathan McKinnon games, especially when your counterpart across the bracket, Kucherov, is a ghost right now. You want to continue that heart conversation in the playoffs, make things interesting, show that you deserve to be in that conversation and turn it on because your competition is nowhere to be seen right now.
Yeah. Excuse me. That's from an individual standpoint. I'm expecting like the big names to, put their stamp on this game. As far as just what the Avalanche need to do, it's difficult for me to say change anything because what you've been doing has been working. You know what I mean? Like you're using your speed, you're just peppering Hellebuck with shots. You're winning battles against the boards. Your checking is great. Your back checking is great. You're hitting. I mean, they have almost 100 hits in 2 games. So keep all of that stuff intact. Make that the main focus, the meat of your game, but be prepared for changes on Winnipeg side.
Mhm.
Clearly, because they're giving up goals. Their defense is not rising to the occasion like they have been doing. So they're gonna, and you heard it from Rick Bowness on the press conference. If anybody listened to that, he basically said we're just giving them way too much time and space. So expect much better checking from them in this game, and how the Avalanche adjust to that will kind of really just decide this game. So
And the number one thing they need to be doing to clean up, you don't want to adjust too much on the forwards, not too much on defense or goalie. They have to be a little bit smarter when it comes to holding the puck, because if you have a team that thinks that you're holding the puck too long and they need that puck to create some offense, they're going to be looking for those turnovers. And that's what's proven costly so far in game 1 and 2 for the Avs, are those turnovers. They have to be smarter with the puck and quit passing it, just anticipating. Clean that up. This is going to be the winning formula going forward.
yeah, if they're going to be up on you more, you can't just rush those passes and those blind passes because it's not going to go where you want it to go. And there's going to be somebody on the guy that you want it to go to, because they're just forcing. They're getting up on everybody, and it's going to be a recipe for disaster. So yeah, you're right. You got to be crisp with everything. So this is what I love about it. It's just the chess match back and forth. What about Alex Georgiev? Great game in game 2. Obviously, they need that in game 3. What can we expect? We'll try to pinpoint this down. It's been difficult to do all season long, but we'll talk about him coming up next. All right, first, let's hear from Indeed. And when you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, then you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching assessments and virtual interviews. And if you hate waiting, Indeed's US data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match their job description the moment they sponsor a job. And Indeed does the hard hiring work for you. Sponsor a job and we'll match you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description right when you post. With Indeed, you can start hiring fast. So visit Indeed.com/lockedon to get hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. And if you need to hire, then you need Indeed. Before we jump into more of this game, of game 3 between the Jets and the Avalanche coming up on Friday, I have to make good on a bet that Mr. Sullivan and I put forth. And if you listen to our most recent episode, I was not a fan of these new Denver Bronco uniforms. Kyle came around to them, and within like 4 hours, he loved them. But we made a wager, and we both wanted the Denver Broncos to pick Bo Nix. We don't really, we're locked on Avalanche, so we didn't get into too much detail on the Denver Broncos draft picks. But that was behind the scenes who we really wanted. And I said, if they draft Bo Nix, I will purchase the new uniform. I got to wait to see what number he's going to be, because apparently Zach Wilson took number 10 and Bo Nix has been number 10. But I think I'm going to go with the blue one. I like the blue one out of the 3.
That's fine. You get you a blue one, I'll get an orange one.
You get an orange one. I love, it's Denver Broncos orange. Like, do I go that? I don't know. I have time. We'll see what number he's going to go with, but you're the Auburn fan. I just like the guy. So I think we're both happy with who they took as a draft pick.
Yeah, he's comfortable with orange and blue, and so is Jared Stidham.
That's true. So, all right. So in goal, obviously, Alexander Georgiev, he's been the talk of this series so far, the good and the bad. You got the bad in game 1. You got the good in game 2. And if that is not a microcosm of the season for Alexander Georgiev, I don't know what is. So it's tough to sit here and predict what can happen for game 3 for him. You can't do it. He could put up another game 2 performance just the same as he could put up a game 1 performance. Clearly, we are hoping for the game 2. That's no secret. But I'm happy this is on home ice. Not that, again, like, because go back to the first segment, not that means a ton for me, but because of how he played in game 2, that crowd's going to be behind him, and he has a lot of confidence, even though it's one game, and to feel like the home crowd is pushing him along too, along with his teammates. It's just what you want as a player. You know what I mean? So, and again, if he can get through those first handful of shots and not let one in, then that just keeps building up the confidence, building up the momentum for him. It's tough to say, man. It really is.
Because the situation here with Georgiev, after game 2, if I was Jared Bednar, I would go into that locker room, I would pat him on the back and say, "Great job. You did everything you needed to keep that job." And he did. It was on the line because Eustace as well. Going into practice on Thursday with Brad Hunt, Chris Wagner, and Prosvetov going back down to Loveland and everybody else kind of reacclimating, coming back, Eustace is patting Georgiev on the back and saying, "Hey, great job, by the way, in game 2. You did everything you needed to do to keep your job when everything was on the line in game 2. Now you have to keep it. You're at home, you have momentum, and Eustace is back. Everything is it's in your favor, but you talk about that short leash. This is the playoffs, and you're going to do everything to put forth a winning team. And granted, game 2 was wonderful, but if you have a game 3 that's similar to 1, you're going back to that short leash because we're here to win games, not make friends. And it's one of those that if you give us a game 2 performance, awesome, this is your job. Let's see what you do in game 4. But that leash is still short.
Well, I mean, really, man, like for game 1, there really wasn't a leash because Annunen wasn't there. And you saw it. Like all 7 goals were against Georgiev. 2, maybe. I mean, you got Prosvetov there. So if it was getting really out of hand, you're a little bit more comfortable bringing him in because he's at least had some NHL experience. But for this one, it is right back to if this gets out of hand, no, Annunen is going in. So, and I don't want to talk about this like, oh, it's going to happen, but like, no, we don't want it to happen. I'm glad they got that first win under their belt, and I'm glad they got it in Winnipeg. That checks a lot of boxes, right? You get Georgiev back, at least for a game, feeling good about himself. You get a win on the road. You get a win against Winnipeg, which you haven't been able to do all season long. So now my mentality is like, okay, we can beat these guys. You felt that way after the first game, but you just because you haven't yet, it's just a different feeling from losing game 1 the way you did, even though you did play well enough to win, to game 2 actually winning and finally getting a win against these guys. So now it's like my feelings are just like, yeah, we can beat this team. Things still have to go right. And one of the things that have to go right is Georgiev playing well again. And I don't want to bring this up every single time we do an episode, but we're still in the infancy of Georgiev putting a good game together. So if he can continue to do this, they need him. And I think it was Devon Taves who said it in the post game. It was like, we need him to play like that. It's no secret. You need a goaltender to tend the goal in the playoff hockey. So it all went well for game 2. Needs to happen again. Easier said than done because the other team is trying to. But you have a better feeling playing this game in game 3 because you've got one under your belt.
And game 2, he won that on the road. He won that game with everything against him, his back against the wall. Now you have to win with everything. Basically, you got the confidence of your team back. You've got home ice advantage. You've got the series back, it's a brand new series. It's basically 0-0 from here on
Right.
out. Like, you saved everything. Now go out there and prove you could do it with everything kind of tilting towards Colorado again. And the thing is, like, you have to prove, was this game 2 the exception or the rule? Like, Taser's comments about we have to have him play like this, is this the Burakovsky 2 goals once a month? Or is this just like, what are we to expect?
Yeah.
Like, we've seen good, we've seen bad.
Right.
Now, what's the pattern? Because again, now you have somebody behind you that wants your job. And if Eustace does come in for relief, when does he give that up? Because he has to keep that in mind. Like, if I give up this net, will I ever see it again? He's still not out of the woods there. One game doesn't change everything. One
Right.
win. This is still a series. We have a long way to go.
And I think, it's not just him. Like, obviously the defense needs to play like they did in that third period. Really, the whole game was good, but that third period was just a work of art when it came to defense. So, and that's when they're going to press. So continue that. Help the guy out. Can he do it on his own? No. Like, you don't want a goalie to do it on his own. So you need to do your role. You need to collapse on D, not lose your man, and do all of just the basic things of playing defense to help him out as best as you can. So we'll see. We'll see. It's always you don't know. It's one of those things that you don't know what you're going to get. You hope you get the best. And on the other side, for Hellebuck, the same can be said for that. What are you going to get from him? Because the way that he's been playing, the Avs could hang another 5 or 6 spot on him, but because of who he is, could shut you out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the beauty of this series is you don't know when you think you don't know, because it can just change on a dime. And what has the kind of like all of the things that have been happening is like these routines in this series of like Avalanche scoring goals, getting a lot of shots on net, a lot of hits, could take a complete 180 and be a totally different game in game 3. We'll have to see. It'll be fun.
That's what makes the playoffs so wonderful, because both goalies don't have a lot behind them, and both teams are relying on these goalies that have not put up the best resume so far in the playoffs.
Yeah. So let's get to some predictions. You'll get Kyle and I's prediction, and then of course our people over on Subtext. So we'll do that after this. All right, sir. One of I continue to play this game, and that is Monopoly Go. Kyle is laughing, and he told me about this when we knew this was going to be a sponsor. He's like, "Oh, you have to get this game." So of course I got it, and I have genuinely been playing this game pretty much nonstop since I downloaded it maybe a couple weeks ago. And I have taken money from Mr. Shaggy Von Doom. Monopoly money. I'm not taking real money from my guy, but I've taken a lot of money. I'm sure he's done the same to me in this game.
Oh, that leaderboard, I watch it like a hawk.
It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with your friends. You can charge them rent on iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But now you can also heist their vaults and riches. Keep it for yourself. And the leaderboards show you who's got the biggest Monopoly tycoon out there. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now, and it's free on the App Store or Google Play. It's pretty addictive. You might miss an Avalanche game because you're playing it so much. All right, let's get over to some predictions, and we'll head over to our Subtext people, see what they got to say about this game. This comes from Marie. Prediction for the series: I think the Avs win tomorrow 5-3. So another 5 spot for the Avs. So that'd be 15 goals total. 6, 4, and 5. Yeah. Let's just keep. We got with that, and then that would be 6, 5. No, would it be 6, 5, and 5? Right? Yeah. Yep. So let's keep it in that realm. Yep. Then I think maybe they lose the fourth game, then win the next 2 in a row, which means wrapping up the series at home in game 6. Why do I think this? When the Avs won the Cup in 2022, they didn't win a single series at home. They were all won on the road, and I'll be out of town for game 6. It's the one game I can't go to, which pretty much guarantees that they will be that will be the one series they win at home, and I can feel that pain. She won't be there for it, and that's when they'll wrap it up at home.
I absolutely love this logic. I really do. This
perfect.
is hockey fan 101 right here. I love it.
But she's right about that. In 2022, none of the series were wrapped up at home. So that home crowd deserves something like that. They deserve a home cooking series win. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that the last time the Stanley Cup would be paraded around Tampa Bay was in the hands of Colorado.
Yeah. Avs fan says all lines need to come out swinging the first period, get that early lead, and hopefully go into the second with a multiple goal lead. Goes without saying, 40 has to bring it. Cut and dry. I mean, come out swinging, come out early, set the tone, get the first goal, and that's I like what he says about multiple goal lead, because everybody focuses on that first goal, understandably so. It's really important. But if you get that first goal early, I love when this happens. When it's an early first goal at home, crowd's going crazy already. They're going even crazier after you get that first goal, and then the whole first period kind of plays out, and then you get that second one with like 2 minutes left in the first period, and then you send the crowd into the intermission just buzzing. That's like a perfect first period for me.
No. You got to go. The first goal goes in. You score the second one before they even get to who got the secondary assist.
When they're announcing the goal,
yeah,
those are nice too.
Those are the best.
Those are even good when it's the other team that scores, and then you score on them while they're still announcing the home team the home team goal. Vargar, I think game 3 is the most important game of the series. I think Makar has been amazing. If the Avs win, it will be him that leads the way. I know Georgiev had a redemption game, but I still have my doubts. I hope being at home helps Nate start to heat up. Yeah, as we were talking about in the first segment. Like, he's been good, but come on. We've seen Nathan McKinnon just go bananas.
You got rest. You're at home. You have no excuses. Yeah. Come on, Nate.
Yeah. Who we got here? This is Easton. I think tomorrow is a stonewall 2-1 game. That's what we're talking. It could be the total opposite. 2-1 game with like 25 shots for both teams. I don't know who wins, but I think everyone is going to be locked down. My heart wants a big game from Mac and Mikko. Again, this is no secret. People are seeing this. So, and then Coy says Mikko has been in one of his weird spells where he doesn't play poorly, but not up to his potential. I think he will get going at home. 4-3 Avalanche is Coy's prediction there. So, yeah, that's what we got. What do you think? Where are you going with this game?
I'm really feeling like this is a 3-2 Avalanche win, and they get that third goal with like 7 minutes to go in the third period, and they pull a goalie like at 3 minutes. It's one of those tense hold on to it games, and the crowd's going to help carry the Avalanche to hold that on, but it's going to be tense. It's going to be tight, and I don't think you're going to see a replication of Game 1.
Well, let's hope not on both sides. Yeah, I think I do. I mean, if the Avs don't come out just absolutely flying, I will be shocked. Because you had to wait to play your first home game. That's not like the norm for the Avalanche. They're used to starting series at home, kind of trying to set the tone in terms of getting up on a series. But now that you've had to wait, some momentum has been built up for you, and if they don't come out just absolutely going all over the place, I'll be surprised. Having said that, I think it's going to be a tough matchup. I think Winnipeg is going to come up with some big changes that's going to make life a little bit different. They might be right in saying the shots on goal might be a little bit less for this game, because Winnipeg has to lock it down better on defense. If they can't figure that out, and the Avs keep throwing 40 shots on net, you might get maybe another 5-2 game for the Avs. If they can keep it close and tightened up and less shots on goal, we might have our first overtime game for this one. So it can go in either direction, really, and it could go in Winnipeg's direction too if Georgiev kind of falls off the wagon again. So really, I know I'm talking about of all sides of my mouth right now, but it's just you can't put your finger on it. You cannot put your finger on this series for the life of you.
Yeah, I feel like with it being a series tied game 3, it's going to be a tense game where everything is going to matter so much more.
It could be one of those series that just every other the team wins every other game, and then you get to a game 7, and hopefully that's all bets are off there. So, all right, that will wrap it up for today, everybody. We were planning on recording. We typically don't do weekend episodes, but this is the playoffs, so I'll just put an asterisk next to it. It's a late start game, so if this thing does go like triple overtime, we might hold off on doing it because that's very, very late for us. But the plan is we'll have an episode for you guys on Saturday following this game, so stay tuned for that. Until then, thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Enjoy the game, and maybe we'll see you Saturday if this thing doesn't go to quadruple overtime.